And so it has come to this. USC can't even keep the people who committed to them in the transfer portal. New Yorkers still can't stop complaining about the Dodgers whooping their tails, and old school coach Mick Cronin has no desire to leave new school college athletics. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is December 15th, 2024. Welcome back to the Sanctum Sanctorum of LA Sports. It's also Sunday, the Lord's Day. If you believe as I do, take a moment, thank Him for the blessings that you have in your life, like LA Sports. And if you like being in the know about LA, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, quick look at the scoreboard. 24th ranked UCLA 57, Arizona 54. That had to be very satisfying for the Bruins, who were down by 13 in the second half and rallied. Absolute signature win for the season against a team that, frankly, they despise. Tyler Bilodeau scored 17 to lead the Bruins to their 8th consecutive win. Sky Clark added 15. Meanwhile, Kings 5, New York Rangers 1. Quentin Byfield, Warren Fogle, Adrian Kempe, Alex Turcotte all scored and added an assist. Now, to be clear, they didn't kick Jonathan Quick's ass. Some dude with a name I can't pronounce is the guy who gave up 5. Meanwhile, today, Tampon Bay is at the Chargers at 125. Tight end Will Dissly is out. Losing to the Chiefs knocked the Bulls out of the chances for winning the AFC West, but they are currently tied with multiple teams for the 5th playoff spot in the conference. Huge game, therefore, for both teams. The Bucs have won 3 consecutive games to pull ahead of Atlanta in the NFC South. Meanwhile, the Bolts have not lost consecutive games since week 4. Those 2 losses came in no small part to Justin Herbert having a bum ankle, which kind of sounds familiar. Memphis is at the Lakers at 6:30. The Grizzlies have won 10 of their last 11 games, and Montana State is at USC at 5. If you're wondering, they're called the Bobcats, and that's pretty much the only thing that's even worth talking about when it comes to this game. Let's not act like it's a big deal, and let's get to the news. In yesterday's clip, we reported that USC landed its first player in the transfer portal. And that lasted less than a day. Less than a day. News people out in Dallas are reporting that cornerback Chasen Johnson flipped from Central Florida to USC, and then late last night flipped from USC to SMU. Now, this isn't going to go down as one of the more famous backstabbings. I wouldn't put it up there with Benedict Arnold. Hell, I wouldn't even put up there with Lando Calrissian in the Star Wars movies. But this is obviously one of the quickest knives in the back I've ever seen. Even the high schoolers who abandoned the Trojans during regular recruiting, at least they had the decency to wait a few months before waiting for the bidding war to pick up speed. Johnson just went like that. He goes to the Mustangs, and they're not going to say it's the money. It's the money. And I believe it to be the money because, look, I lived for a couple of years out in Dallas. I have been to the SMU campus. Gerald Ford Stadium holds about 32,000. In other words, Chip Kelly's UCLA teams could have filled that sucker. That's how popular SMU football became over the course of time. But when NIL came out, oh, the SMU boosters got super excited. Why? Well, if you remember, this is a football program, the only football program in NCAA history to get the death penalty. They were put out of commission for a couple of years because they repeatedly got caught paying their athletes. We're talking about them rich, good old oil boys down in Tejas right there. So they've been spending all these decades just saving up that oil money, dying to cut fat checks so that they could get SMU out of that rinky-dink little stadium and back into the big stadium where the Cowboys played for so long. And now with NIL, they can do it legally? Yeah. This was the money. Now, having said that, we think that USC eventually did add another corner in the transfer portal. Maybe. We'll see who tries to do the outbidding this time. Corner DJ Harvey makes USC his third school, transferring in from San Jose State. And before that, transferring from Virginia Tech to San Jose State. Look, at this juncture, I think it goes without saying he's currently a starting corner for next year's roster. The Trojans have lost 4 corners after all because they exhausted eligibility. Meanwhile, quarterback Miller Moss is now transferring to Louisville, which is kind of ironic. Louisville is the school that put him on the map. He torched Louisville as USC's quarterback in the Holiday Bowl last year. Overall, though, I don't know of anybody who has a foul thing to say about Miller Moss. Even when he got benched for Jaden Mayava, it was like, we got no choice, dude. We like you, but there's your bench. So I think it goes without saying, we're all pretty happy the dude landed on his feet. So yeah, a lot of Trojans news to discuss today. Meanwhile, with the Dodgers, Teoscar Hernandez does not want any money in his next contract deferred. This is according to a Dodger blog. We have also updated the Idiot Scribe Dodger rumor board. Please note that we added 2 names that the Scribes swore the Dodgers were going to be interested in. And by the way, of those 2 names, we crossed out one of them less than an hour later. This is how great the hidden sources that the journalismers have, right? The Sporting News predicted Kyle Tucker coming to the Dodgers, like the Astros would actually send one of their top players to LA. Nope. Tucker was sent to Chicago. And now the Scribes are claiming that the Dodgers want to back the Brinks truck up for Tanner Scott, who was last seen closing games for the Puds. It's getting kind of ridiculous, everything about the Dodgers. Not because the Dodgers are ridiculous, but all the things swirling around them. What's really hilarious is how New York cannot let go of getting their asses handed to them on a paper plate by the Dodgers. Some dingle douche on New York radio named Evan Roberts called the Dodgers classless pigs for auctioning off the ball that Aaron Judge dropped in the infamous 5th inning collapse in Game 5. Oh, he said it over and over. Classless pigs, classless pigs. You're in New York, pal. You are the last person on earth qualified to judge. But speaking of pigs, speaking of classless pigs, have you checked out your own fans sitting down the first base line? Did that ever occur to you, Evan? I'm sure the Dodgers would have much rather auctioned off the double chin on that tub of slop who was ripping off Mookie Betts' glove in Game 4. Classless pigs? Really? Look in the mirror, pal. Good Lord. Anyone want to tell this guy he lives in New York, which automatically makes you the last guy on earth to be talking about class? Oh, Jeffrey Meyer. That kid was the epitome of class, right? But I will say this, unlike Aaron Judge, at least Jeffrey Meyer can catch a baseball. New York. Way to lose with grace. The LA Times looked across the collegiate sport landscape, rightfully concluded that this is a time of great chaos. And then they incorrectly extrapolated from that, suggesting that UCLA basketball coach Mick Cronin might want to hang it up soon because after all, he's old school and the game has changed so radically. You know, the transfer portal, conference realignment. And it's a fair enough question. You just don't want to assume the answer. Cronin replied, quote, "History has taught us one thing, that times change. So you've got to be willing to change with the times. I'm still excited to coach. I want to try to win a championship. I think it's a really privileged position to be able to try to be a male adult role model for your players. To me, it's fidelity to a higher cause. I don't sit here thinking, oh, I hate all of this," unquote. So yeah, I mean, he is old school. Yeah, the changes are pretty uncomfortable. But I think somewhere in the recesses of whatever he calls his heart, he knows it's pretty damn cool to be walking the sidelines along John Wooden Court. The Rams are off today. Tight end Tyler Higbee had been sidelined while recovering from knee and shoulder surgeries, but he should be available for the last 3 regular season games in the Rams season. And by the way, as a side note, shout out to all the fellas who combed through the turf in Detroit trying to find fragments of Higbee's knees after Kirby Joseph cheap shotted him. So kudos to those guys helping that poor man rebuild his knees. Well done. The LA Times then suggested that released Miami receiver Odell Beckham Jr. might be someone the Rams might consider signing. After all, Beckham was the number 2 guy during the Rams Super Bowl winning run a couple of years ago. Kind of doubt it. Because he's not a number 2 on this roster if he went. You think he's better than Puka Nacua? Really? And you might tell me, well, James, no, I don't think he's better than Puka Nacua, but he's probably better than Demarcus Robinson. He damn sure is better than Tutu Atwell, which is fair. To which I reply, do you really want to add that level of crazy to your roster this late in the year? Do you? I mean, if you remember, this dude crashed Sean McVay's wedding, and that was considered one of the least crazy things that Odell Beckham Jr. has ever done. So no, I don't buy it. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about USC actually adding a player in the transfer portal and hopefully keeping this one. And for that matter, are you still taking great pleasure watching New York people complain about getting their asses kicked by the Dodgers? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Cortel Queso production. Take care.